Our 2-7 Cleveland Browns are set to play host to an interdivision foe, the Baltimore Ravens, a team who we've already played against and lost to earlier in the year. Robin, this time around goes a little bit better. There's one problem, though. They're the best team in the league at 8-1, and record-wise, we are the worst team in the league at 2-7, so it might not exactly be pretty. Last episode was the trade deadline. We sent Joel Bitonio to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jerome Baker to the Los Angeles Chargers in order to add some Day 3 draft capital. We also played against the Jets, who, like us, are towards the bottom of the standings and lost 21-17. It was an exciting game, though. Both quarterbacks, especially Justin Fields, made a lot of mistakes. Fields ran for 135 yards, but he only completed one pass after the first quarter. Both the Browns and the Jets might be in the market for a quarterback in this year's draft and are projected to finish with a top pick. Today we're going to focus, though, on the skill position guys in this year's class, the running backs and wide receivers in this year's draft. We've got a fun group of skill position players to go over. As we look at where we are at the running back position, of course, the Browns just drafted Quinshon Judkins in the second round, and since he didn't have a training camp, he was behind the 8 ball, and it feels like now he's just finally getting into the swing of things. Of course, Dylan Sampson as well in the 4th round. So, on paper, running back does not look like a major need for this Browns team, but given the right opportunity, I'm not going to pass on who I think is the best player on the board. All of these players, of course, are from our Virginia Tech dynasty on EA College Football 26, with the exception of one. That being the top projected running back in this class, Cornell Teamer, from the Kansas Dynasty on EA College Football 25, declaring after his junior season set to be a first-round pick after helping lead the Jayhawks to a national title over Michigan. Number 23 ran for 23 touchdowns in his extremely impressive junior season, and he has all the makings of a superstar back. 5'10", 192 pounds. He doesn't necessarily have an elite second gear in terms of his speed, but what he does have is elite quickness, and his footwork is the best I have seen from a college running back in quite some time. You cannot tackle him in a phone booth whatsoever. He's very effective on third down as well. He has history of lining up at wide receiver, so you can use him in a variety of different packages offensively. He was unstoppable as a junior. He scored in all but one game. He was phenomenal in the playoff. He was great in the national championship against Michigan, where he got a career-high 27 carries. The Jayhawks getting everything out of him at the very end. Teamer is such a complete back with the short area quickness, contact balance, ball carrier vision, and ability on third down. I think he's right up there with guys like Ashton Jeanty, Bijan Robinson, and Jahmyr Gibbs as the top running back prospects over the last few years. After Teamer, though, it's still a good class, and he should not overshadow these other talented players, which starts with Cameron Christmas from Rice. Whichever team drafts this young man, it will be Christmas in April, and not just because of his on-field ability, although that's pretty darn good too, but what he provides off the field. I mean, you don't get into Rice without being a smart cookie. This guy is an unbelievable football mind, team captain as a true junior, and if you look at the skill set, 6'1", 215-ish pounds, he's got elite explosiveness, elite get-off, but with his size, he's got some power as well. And I think outside of Teamer, he is the most complete back in the class. 3 years starter, 3 years over 1,000 yards. Yes, it's not against the best of competition, but if you watch him, it's clear that doesn't matter. This kid's a game changer, and he's going to be an awesome player, I think, in the NFL. Along with Christmas, there's also Xavier Powell from Oklahoma State. I think both of these guys are competing to be RB2 at the moment, and either one of them could easily end up going to the back end of the first round to a contending team looking to add that final piece for an offense. Powell's an interesting case because he's smaller than Christmas. I don't think he's as explosive as Christmas. He doesn't quite have the second gear in terms of his speed, but I think he's a little bit quicker inside the tackles. Much like Cornell Teamer, his footwork and his contact balance is absolutely elite. Another guy who's played a lot of football, much like both Teamer and Christmas, which at the running back position isn't always the best thing. It means that you've taken a lot of hits, a lot of wear and tear, But Xavier Powell, in his 4 seasons at Oklahoma State, has found a way to get better and better and better each season, leading the Cowboys offense to an appearance in the Big 12 title game this year. 40 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. Statistically, one of the best offensive players in the history of the Oklahoma State program. Anthony Anderson III from Illinois is a young man who really broke out onto the scene this year. Showed some good things as a redshirt freshman, but this year is the full-time back. He has been electric. Physically, he's built very similar to Powell. 5'9", 198 pounds. I think in terms of speed, again, fairly similar. He's not the fastest, but he can get from 0 to 100 real quick. And once he gets into the second level, he turns into kind of a different animal compared to the first 10 yards. He's been one of the most efficient backs in the country this year and is dominant after contact. 47 broken tackles, over 600 yards after being hit. His contact balance at his size, his ability to break tackles is really impressive. Xavier Eccles from Georgia is fascinating. The first thing you'll notice is that he's 24 years old, which is not ideal, especially as a running back. But he's 6 foot, 220 pounds. He is a bulldozer as a runner. And oftentimes when you look at that archetype of back, you think, oh, he's a short yardage guy. He's a power back. Well, Xavier Eccles is the fastest running back in the class. So you had the combination of size and speed that he brings to the table, and it's like, wow, what can't this kid do? This guy might be the limit. Well, you might want to hold your horses. I don't think on a play-by-play basis he's as efficient as the other top backs in this class. He's also 24. He has less room to grow compared to the other guys, but there's no running back with a combination of size and speed that he has. Redshirt sophomore Sir Micah Robinson has elevated the Miami offense, leading the Hurricanes into the college football playoff. If he was a little bit faster, I think he'd be in the mix for RB2 because he's got everything else in his game checked off. 5'10", 200 pounds. He's super shifty. He can really change directions quick. He's strong. He's powerful. He's effective on third down as a pass catcher. We got to see him up close and personal with Virginia Tech, and I came away really impressed with him. He had a role at Pitt, but wanted to bet on himself with a full-time starting gig at Miami, and boy, did that pay off. I think there's a world where he does return to school next year, but if he's a top 100 pick, which I think he will be, it's hard to argue with not taking the guaranteed money and going to the NFL. Cannon Cunningham from Washington is a really good player, and in terms of the talent, I think he's right up there with the top backs in the class, but he's got one major problem. He puts the ball on the ground too much. 10 fumbles in his 4 seasons with the Huskies. That's going to push him back. Otherwise, he looks amazing. 5'10", over 200 pounds. He's one of the fastest, most dynamic backs in the class. He doesn't really have a lot of power to his game, though. I don't really see him as a bell cow back, a guy you can have go between the tackles, but going to the outside, he is as dynamic of a back as there is in the class, minus the fumbling. It has gotten better each season. He's fumbled it less in his 4 seasons with Washington, but still, 10 is a lot. Some of the other top backs in this class have 0 for reference. Kyle Mays from Arkansas. I think the best word to describe his game is dog. He's got that dog in him. 6 foot, 231 pounds. This guy gets 30 touches a game sometimes with Arkansas and just rams it down the opposing team's throat. He's big, he's physical, and he's nearly impossible to bring down on the first attempt. Mays is currently second in all of college football in rushing this year, but he's not just an in-between the tackles guy. Much like Xavier Eccles, he's got a second gear to him. And if he's able to get some space, 10, 15 yards up the field, he can turn that run into a home run, which you don't always see with power backs like him. He's got a lot of wear and tear on the tires, though. He's taken some big hits this year. He's super banged up, and give him credit playing through injuries. 11 of his 12 games, he finished with at least 100 yards. But running with his style is going to take a toll. Dylan Bellamy from USC is the modern NFL running back in the sense that he is someone who you want on the field on all 3 downs, especially on third down. He's one of the best pass-catching backs in the class. He's a good pass protector as well. He can really shimmy between defenders. We saw in the highlight against UCLA, splitting 2 guys at once. He is a little bit older, at 23, is a redshirt senior, was a rotational back for 3 years at USC, has finally gotten to be the full-time starter, and he has not looked back. 23 all-purpose touchdowns this year for Bellamy, en route to becoming a first-team All-American. Cedric Carter lives in the end zone. So far in 12 games this year with Ole Miss, he has 28 rushing touchdowns. Yes, 28. That is a lot. Now, it certainly helps that Ole Miss is one of the best offenses in the country, and they get it into the red zone a lot. But he's so big, he's so physical. He is probably the best short yardage back in this class. Compared to the other power runners with this group, Eccles from Georgia and Mays from Arkansas, I don't think he's as efficient as those guys. I don't think he's as explosive as them. But he has 37 touchdowns in 2 years. I'm fascinated to watch him in the playoff along with the rest of the Ole Miss offense. I think right now he's a fringe top 100 pick, but I could easily see him pushing that up. Really good group of backs projected to go in the top 100 as we briefly scroll through some of the guys on day 3. If you're looking for production, Montrell Hart from Liberty and Nathan Henry from Appalachian State, 2 of the most productive group of 5 running backs in the class. Hayden Alabi, powerful runner from Arizona State, not too different to Cam Skattebo. A guy who I like quite a bit is Jonas Judino from SMU. Their passing offense and quarterback Tyree Wells has gotten all the attention, but Judino's a really good back. I'm excited to watch him in the playoff. I like Dalen Linder quite a bit from Wisconsin. And then if you're looking for some gems deep down the board, Sal Santucci from Texas is 25, but he's a dog. He's a really good player. Let's move over to wide receiver now, and this team has a lot of needs, obviously. I don't know if there's a bigger one than wide receiver. We do have a couple good tight ends. Harold Fannin, I think, is getting better. David Njoku, we've talked about a contract extension with him, and we will have the tight end prospect profile later in the year. But as we look at the wide receiver room, it's bad. I mean, it might be the worst in the NFL. Jerry Jeudy's a good player, but I see him more as a really good number 2 rather than a number 1. He can be the Robin to somebody else's Batman, but with him as the number 1 option in the passing game, I feel like he can do a lot better. We did just sign Jahan Dotson, try to carve out a role for him. Outside of Jeudy, I think Jabari Thrash has comfortably been the second best guy in this room. Nonetheless, we've got to draft at least 1 receiver early in this draft, maybe multiple. Lucky for us, we've got 6 receivers projected to go in the first round, a handful of others on day 2. We're definitely going to end up, I think, with one of these guys that we talk about today, maybe multiple. If we don't pick a quarterback with our top choice, maybe none of them are available for us, or maybe we want to stick with the guys we already have, someone like TK Dicer would absolutely be in play. This is a true top 5 pick. I mean, his footwork, you saw it on that play right there, is unbelievable. He is a route technician. He is as polished as it gets at 5'11", 201 pounds. He plays the wide receiver position like a pro's pro. We've seen guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba and Emeka Ibuka at Ohio State star in the NFL. TK Dicer plays similarly to those guys, but he's better. 42 touchdowns in 3 seasons with the Buckeyes, over 3,000 yards combined within the last 2 seasons, and counting because we get to watch him in the playoff. I'm super excited to watch him, and with a good playoff run, I think he could cement himself as the top non-quarterback off the board. He is that good. The best wide receiver prospect we've seen from Ohio State in recent years, and that says a lot. Lonnie Block from Stanford has skyrocketed up draft boards this year in Stanford's biggest game of the year, the ACC title game. He goes for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns, propelling Stanford to the win over SMU, leading the Cardinal to a spot in the playoff. He's big, he's fast, and my golly, Miss Molly, he can get open. He is dynamic with the ball in his hands as well. 22 receiving touchdowns so far this year from quarterback Isaiah Temp. I don't think he has passed TK Dicer as the wide receiver 1 in this class, but there's a world where it happens. If he plays extremely well in the playoff, he'll get to see SMU again in the first round. Texas Tech wide receiver Caleb Hoppies is another player who has skyrocketed up boards this year, propelling himself into the first round. He might be the most dynamic receiver in the class. Look at this play, making 3 guys miss in 1 move en route to the touchdown. Hoppies is an interesting case because I don't think he's as polished as the other first-round receivers. Definitely not as a route runner. He's got to improve there. but it's hard to teach his explosiveness, his athleticism, his ability with the ball in his hands. He was at Colorado last year with Tyree Wells, the now quarterback of SMU. It's crazy that those two guys were on the same team. Transfers to Texas Tech, where he has been awesome. Another guy who we're going to get to see in the playoff. I cannot wait. That Texas Tech offense is so much fun. After Hoppies, we've got another Caleb in this class. Tennessee wide receiver Caleb Gassing is one of the most inspiring stories in this class. Let's look at this rep first against Vanderbilt. Corner plays 10 yards off of him. He wears number 15, which is fitting because there's around 15 yards of separation once Gassing catches the ball. His Tennessee coaches call him lightning in a bottle because, my goodness, this guy, once he gets out, he can fly. Former 5-star recruit in high school who started his career at Clemson. Did not play as a freshman, transfers to Tennessee, caught one pass last year. He was humbled as a former 5-star. So what does he do this offseason? He grinds his tail off. Was completely reinvented this year at Tennessee. Team captain as a redshirt sophomore. And sure enough, he has 121 catches for over 1,500 yards and counting. He went from a top recruit to a massive bust to back into the first-round conversation as one of the very best receivers in college football. This is a young man who's been through a lot of adversity in his career and is the type of player who I would bet on to be successful. After Gassing, we take a look at Dorian Sahara from James Madison, a player who we've talked about through the entire season in the Virginia Tech dynasty. We played against James Madison in week 1. Sahara only had a couple catches. We were really the only team who shut him down. He was dominant through the rest of the season. 6'2", 225 pounds. In that episode, I compared him to A.J. Brown. I think the two are really clones physically. He runs like a madman with the ball in his hands. I would say Dorian Sahara is the Derrick Henry of wide receivers, if that makes sense. I mean, he is so hard to bring down. His contact balance with the ball is unbelievable. Even at 225 pounds, he's super fast, super explosive, really good route runner. He's one of the best separators in this class, but he's also a pretty good contested catch guy as is. I fail to see a major weakness in his game. He's got good hands. He gets open. He's a good separator. He's athletic. He's really good with the ball in his hands. He's got really good short area quickness. 3 years of really good production with over 1,000 yards. He could have left James Madison after his freshman or sophomore season into the transfer portal, and he could have picked any school he wanted. Every school in the country would have been interested in him, but he decided to stick around at James Madison. He wanted to build something that he could be proud of and become one of the best players in program history. I guess if there is a question mark with him, he did dislocate his ankle in the final regular season game of the year and will not play in their bowl game. I don't think it's going to impact his pre-draft offseason too much, though. Nathan Wilson from Miami is fascinating. I think some teams are going to be really high on him. Others, I don't know. Wilson's a really interesting player because he's not actually a wide receiver for Miami. He's actually a running back. And he ran for 1,500 yards last year. Well, as we talked about earlier, Miami brings in Sir Micah Robinson in the transfer portal. They still want to use Wilson as much as possible. So they've turned him into a hybrid, if you will. He still gets a lot of snaps at running back, 112 carries, 637 yards. But he also gets a lot of reps in the slot as well, where he's been one of the best playmakers in the ACC. 63 catches, 700 yards. Last year at running back, he still caught the ball 44 times. So whether he's a running back or a wide receiver at the next level, you're getting a guy with really consistent production. Virginia Tech was able to hold him in check as well, only 2 catches for 12 yards. We're playing well against some of these very best receivers in the class. But with Nathan Wilson's versatility, he just is a really intriguing player to me. I don't know what his role will be in the NFL, but I'm pretty confident he'll be a good player. Jordan Newton, the other Texas Tech receiver, is up next. Texas Tech has 3 really good receivers. Caleb Hoppies, we talked about earlier. Newton is the big target. Go up and get it guy. Mossing the corner there at 6'5", 214 pounds. Newton was not great early in the year, entering the transfer portal last offseason from Tulsa, but he's really turned it on over the last 4 or 5 games. And going into the playoff, this Texas Tech team is hotter than just about anyone in the country. With all these weapons, I don't see how opposing teams are going to cover these guys. Over 1,000 yards this year for the Red Raiders, and he's playing his best football now. With his size, his ability in contested catch situations, but also his ability to separate and get open, I could see his stock continuing to rise. We've got another Jayhawk. Amani Law, the speedster, is up next. He's the fastest player in the class. He is unbeatable in a foot race. If you're behind him, you're not catching him. It's that simple. Having watched every single one of Amani Law's snaps over his 3 seasons at Kansas, and having watched every Jameson Williams NFL snap, I think these two guys are really similar. Law is bigger at 217 pounds. I also don't think he's quite the overall route runner that Jameson Williams is, but otherwise, I think these two guys are nearly identical as prospects. Law has played a very similar role to what Jameson Williams has as the deep threat, who's also very effective on drag routes up the middle. Law missed much of his junior season with an injury, came back for the playoff, and had the 3 best games arguably of his career, including 186 yards in the national championship, where he won the MVP of the national championship game. The lights were the brightest, and Amani Law played the best football of his career. Jalen Davies-Landiner from South Florida has broken the stat sheet this year. South Florida is the #1 passing and scoring offense in college football. Is he a product of the scheme, or is he really good? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. 6 foot, 216 pounds. He's got great hands, good explosiveness, good short area quickness, and he can get open from every area of the field. He is amongst the leaders in receiving this year at over 1,600 yards. He had over 1,400 last year, so this is not some one-year wonder. Davies-Landiner climbed all the way up to 2nd place in the final Heisman voting behind Alabama quarterback Kieran Riddle. He almost won the award. I'm super excited to watch him in the playoff against some really good teams. I think he's going to show the world that he is a star. Eli Drake from USC is a kid who I like a lot. They call him the Slim Reaper down there. He is wiry and skinny, but he is tall, around 6'2", maybe 6'3", only 180 pounds, but he is still physical. Don't let the lack of weight fool you. This guy is very effective going down the field. I think he's good in the short game as well. Had to wait his turn at USC. He was a special teamer his first 2 seasons, and a damn good one. Won a starting role out wide as a junior and has not looked back since. I could see his stock continuing to rise with either a good performance in the playoff or a good combine. He's one of the fastest receivers in the class, and you combine that with his height at 6'3". I mean, that's not a combination you find often with his size and speed. In terms of the other day 2 guys, Jabari Kane Cervantes from Akron. He's a giant, 6'6", 200 pounds. Moses Lexington from Alabama, 3-year starter at Temple, has become arguably the #1 option for Heisman Trophy winner Kieran Riddle. You could say the same, though, about Trey Lawson, a 4-year starter at Alabama. Let's go through the list of receivers all time who have more receiving yards in Alabama history than Trey Lawson. Yeah, no one. He has the most receiving yards and receptions in the history of Alabama football. He just passed the 4,000 yards threshold in this game against Auburn, the first player in Alabama history to do so. Devontae Smith didn't, Amari Cooper didn't, Julio Jones didn't, Trey Lawson did. 6'5". He's an unbelievably good route runner for his height. He's one of the tallest receivers in the class, but he's also one of the most fluid, going in and out of his breaks, getting open, especially in the middle of the field, becoming one of Kieran Riddle's top targets. Over 1,000 yards in each of the last 3 seasons with the Tide. His size and production profile, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the top 100 picks of this draft. I think it's a loaded crop of receivers with 6 guys projected to go in the first round. Some really good day 2 players. Let's move over to day 3. Quintavion Burdett, 3-year starter at Eastern Michigan, transfers to Ole Miss and has had no trouble transitioning to the SEC. Rayleigh Wingo at Texas, very talented player. He's had a few different homes, has never really figured it out. I could see him being a better pro than college player. Satius Moore at San Diego State had a really good season. Crew Freidler at Florida getting better and better and better over his time with the Gators. Spencer Harper at Maryland, 6'2", 225. He's a bowling ball with the ball in his hands. Leo Fritz, elite slot guy at Ohio State. Antonio Penwell from Tennessee, I think he's really talented. But we've got to talk about our guy, John Trey Hickson from Virginia Tech. I mean, look at this play against Georgia Tech. Whoop! Hurdles a man into the end zone for a score. Now, unfortunately, this play was called back because Clyde Poole threw the ball past the line of scrimmage. Have no fear. A few minutes later in the first quarter, Virginia Tech runs damn near the exact same play, and Hickson is in for a score. A 4-year starter with the Hokies. Hickson played his high school ball in Baltimore with Kieran Riddle. His first 3 seasons in college at Virginia Tech with Kieran Riddle. Riddle leaves for the transfer portal to Alabama. Hickson could have joined him, but he wanted to stick around for his senior season where he had a very good year. Career highs in every major statistical receiving category with Clyde Poole throwing in the ball. I don't necessarily think he's an elite athlete. I don't think he has any elite trait as a receiver, but he's really consistent. He's really good. The floor is super high. He's never going to be some star, but I could see him sticking around in this league for 8, 9, 10 years and being a good player. So with that, we'll focus on our matchup now against the Baltimore Ravens as we enter the coach's office here in Week 11. Critical game this week. What are you seeing on film? They're a very balanced team. Nothing is jumping out. Well, they are very balanced, but I feel like watching Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry play football and say nothing is jumping out should probably show that you are blind. I want to focus on the trenches. The offensive line needs to play well. The defensive line obviously needs to play well. We need to stop the run, which we did in Week 2 against the Ravens. Derrick Henry was not very efficient, but the run defense has gotten worse as the year has gone along. The Ravens are probably going to score their fair share of points, so offensively we need to be prepared for a track meet. The offensive line needs to give Joe Flacco time to throw it. The receivers need to be better than the worst receiving room in the league. And the young running backs who have gotten better as the year have gone along have to continue to do so. Let's look at this Ravens team who beat us back in Week 2, 29-17. I thought we showed some good things in this game, and we didn't play completely horribly, which is a win. Lamar Jackson was good on the ground, but I don't think he was that impressive as a passer, and I don't think Derrick Henry played all that well either. The Ravens started the year 8-0, a lot of one-score wins, but against some really good teams. However, they just lost last week, upset by the Minnesota Vikings, so they're 8-1. They're pissed off coming off a loss, and lucky us, we get to play against them. The Ravens have made it through their hard part of the schedule. The final stretch is actually pretty easy. This team should get the number 1 seed, I think, without much issue. But maybe this is a trap game for them. Maybe they overlook it. Now they have Lamar Jackson at quarterback, 99 overall, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. His numbers are not going to wow you. They're actually not that impressive, but it's Lamar Jackson we're talking about, the best rushing quarterback in NFL history, and at this point, one of the best passers as well. He has evolved his game so much over the last few years. The combination of what he provides as a passer, along with his unique rushing ability, is why he is my current QB1 in the NFL. It certainly doesn't hurt to have this guy next to him, Derrick Henry, who, at this point, is probably a top 10 running back of all time. Even at 31 years old, he hasn't really gotten worse at all. He's averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. The guy is an absolute unicorn. Most running backs get worse as they age. Derrick Henry's gotten better. However, the least amount of yards per carry he had this year was against us at only 3.5, so hopefully we can lean in on what went well in that game and continue. Zay Flowers leads the receiving room with DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, and the recently acquired Jalen McMillan, along with Isaiah Likely at tight end. Defensively, these guys got a lot of playmakers. I think Kyle Hamilton's the best player with this group. They've got some good vets, although Jair Alexander and Nnamdi Madubuike will both be out. I'm excited to see the new look team, though, because they did make some big moves at the trade deadline. They traded away Mark Andrews to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a deal that included wide receiver Jalen McMillan. And they also added Demario Davis from the Saints to pair up with Roquan Smith at linebacker. The Ravens right now are the best team in the NFL. They have the league's best quarterback, probably the league's best running back, and look like the favorites to win the Super Bowl. The Browns, meanwhile, are the only team in the NFL with 2 or less wins. If the season ended today, we would have the number 1 pick. This really is David versus Goliath. Well, you know what? Let's shock the world. Why not? Let's beat the team who, I guess in some ways, stole our identity, because they, of course, were once the Cleveland Browns. Here is Jabari Thrash breaking tackles past the 40. We talked about it earlier. I think Thrash has become the second receiver on the team as Quinshon Judkins is dinged up. That is not ideal. I thought he had one of the best games of his season last week against the Jets. 3rd and 2. Flacco looks to throw it. Wants it all for the end zone. It is caught! Jabari Thrash into the end zone for a touchdown. And the Cleveland Browns strike first. What a throw by Joe Flacco, placing it into the bucket. Jabari Thrash outruns both of the defensive backs. The booth is going to review it. Did he get the 2 feet in bounds? It was close. Probably too close to overturn. The call will stand. It is a touchdown for the Browns, who lead at 7-0. Not a bad start offensively. Joe Flacco looking good early. Well, when I said 7-0, I spoke too soon. The extra point is blocked by the Ravens. That was Robert Longerbeam, the rookie for Rutgers, who got a hand on it, and so it remains 6-0 instead. Lamar flushed out on the run. He is sacked. Grant Delpit brings him down. Grant Delpit said it's easy to tackle Derrick Henry. Apparently, it's easy to tackle Lamar Jackson as well. 3rd and 2. Henry gets it up the middle with the first down, runs through Devin Bush, and gets around 7. Our run defense has gotten worse since we last played them, so I'm curious to see what the difference in production will be as Isaiah Likely gets it near the 35, wrapped up by Greg Newsome, who signed a 3-year extension with the Browns in the last episode. He's a guy who I really think is a building block for this team's future. Lamar under pressure, and he throws it away. Myles Garrett coming through the back, penetrating near Lamar, who has to get rid of it. Pause, and that'll bring out the field goal unit. Tyler Luke, the rookie from the University of Arizona, on from around 38 yards. His kick is right down the middle. So the Ravens tack on 3, and that'll make it a 6-3 ball game. Drive number 2 for the Browns. The first one, minus the special teams blunder, looked pretty damn good. Joe Flacco with one of his best possessions of the year, joined by Dylan Sampson, the rookie from Tennessee, in the backfield. He gets it on first down. He gets to walk the Red Sea. Oh my goodness, the blocking on that play was terrific, and a good job there by Sampson to hit the hole and gain 14. 3rd and 10 now. Flacco looks to throw it up the middle. It's caught. Tillman gets the first down. Good play there by Cedric Tillman, keeping the chains moving on the curl route for the Browns. This offense, which has been largely lifeless over the last month, has been terrific in this game. Flacco connects. Judy, another first down for the Browns. Everyone is in rhythm. Joe Flacco has had the best quarter of his season as he goes play action. Flacco under pressure. He's sacked. Maybe I shouldn't have been gassing him up. Odafe Owe brings him down, the 5th-year edge rusher from Penn State. Flag on the play at the 50. Judy on the RPO gets a block, gets another, and he is gone! 50-yard touchdown for Judy. The flag was on the Ravens, and the touchdown stands. I don't know why the flag didn't show, but it was an offsides on them. So it's 13-3 as Lamar gets the first down. 2nd and 2 now at the 48. Ravens looking good on this drive, and boy, do they need a response. Henry with an incredible block by Tyler Linderbaum gets it to the 22. And the Ravens are marching down the field, running the ball extremely well on this drive. Possibly the final play of the quarter. Lamar up the middle, scrambles for the first down. Lamar inside the 5 for a gain of 17. An exciting first quarter in Cleveland. Not a bad start for the Browns, who lead 13-3 with 2 long touchdowns, a bullet from Joe Flacco to Jabari Thrash, and a 50-yard RPO score for Jerry Jeudy. The defense has not been great, though. We allowed a field goal on the first drive, and the Ravens are in the red zone here in their second drive. 1st and goal to open up the second quarter. Derrick Henry pushed behind the line. David Ojabo, the former Raven, is there. Some bad news, though. Earlier on the drive, Carson Schlesinger, torn pectoral, will miss the rest of the season. Oh, no! That is not good. A Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate and one of our best defensive players we will be without until next season at the earliest because he tore it bad. 3rd and goal. Lamar runs into the end zone untouched. for a Ravens score, and Baltimore claps back as it's 13-10. Well, we figured it might be a track meet, and so far our offense is sprinting ahead, but they're going to need to keep the pace up. 3rd and 8 at the 26. Flacco looking deep again. Tillman, no, he cannot hang on. That was, again, a perfect throw. Who is this guy at quarterback? But a good defensive play by Marlon Humphrey to jar it away. Lamar looking to do the same as it is broken away. Tries to get it to Rashad Bateman. And again, it was a perfect throw, but Ronnie Hickman is able to jar it out. So the Browns get it back. Flacco up the middle. Quinshon Judkins with room. Judkins to the 44. The story has been our passing game and how good Joe Flacco has played, but the rushing attack has been very impressive. Got to shout out the offensive line in particular. Those guys up front are having their best half of the year. They've been unbelievable. As Flacco connects with Jerry Jeudy to the 35-yard line. Flacco with over 140 yards now through the air on only 2 or 3 incompletions. 3rd and 9 at the 34 with number 34 Jerome Ford in at running back. Flacco looking for the sideline. It's caught! David Njoku to the 11. Another first down conversion for the Browns. As it looks like the booth is going to take a look at this one. The Ravens threw the challenge flag. They don't think Njoku had possession. Yeah, he got 2 in. That was a bad call by Coach Harbaugh to challenge that one. That's clearly a catch. The play stands, and the Ravens are going to lose a timeout. Following the first down reception by Njoku, it's 2nd and 8 at the 8. Judkins shrugs off the initial hit, but still is going backwards. Good play there by the Raven defense. They know they've got to defend the run better, as it's 3rd down and 9 at the 9. Flacco, high pointing the ball. Jeudy cannot come down with it. Good defense by Nate Wiggins. Him and Jeudy jawing up at the end of the play. 26-yarder for Dustin Hopkins. His kick is good. Feels like we could have gotten more on that drive, but still, the offense is absolutely killing it today, as it's 16-10. 5.5 in the second. Boom! Fumble! That one is still on the ground and eventually picked up by the Ravens. Myles Garrett delivers the boom on Lamar Jackson. He's feeling that one, but will stay in the game. 3rd and 12. Jackson looks to throw it. Has time and completely misses Derrick Henry. That was not a good throw. Maybe he was looking for Devin Bush because he was the closest guy to the ball. Browns have it back. This game firmly an upset alert as Quinshon Judkins gets nothing on the screen. He actually lost 3. Kyle Van Noy, Unk University, brings him down as that will make it a 3rd down and 13 at the 27 for the Browns. I do think Baltimore's defense is starting to key in, especially around the line of scrimmage. Got to stop the vertical pass, though. Flacco flushes out, and he is sacked. Odafe Owe again. I thought Flacco had a couple receivers open, but he didn't see them in time as Baltimore gets it back off the play action. Isaiah Likely wide open. Will Likely hang on to that one for a first down to the 40-yard line. Under 3 to go in the half now. Lamar gets an audible from the sideline, hands it off. Henry with plenty of room, eventually hit at the 26. There were no linebackers near him for about 10 yards. With Schlesinger hurt and Jerome Baker traded, our linebacking core went from one of the best in the league to one of the worst, alarmingly fast. Henry loses 4 on the screen, though. Rayshawn Jenkins brings him down. That'll make it a 3rd down and 13 at the 29. Lamar looks to throw it. Looking for the end zone one-on-one. It is caught! DeAndre Hopkins in for the score, and Baltimore will take the lead. DeAndre Hopkins, the old man, still got it. Able to flip his hips, come down with the ball, and put Baltimore on top, 17-16. Denzel Ward way too slow to react there. Ward with interceptions in each of our last 2 games. Flacco, with seconds left in the half, is annihilated by Roquan Smith. What a hit. Cleveland's going to use a timeout, and with 5 seconds left, we are going to keep the offense out onto the field. It would be a 64-yard field goal from here as Flacco will throw it away with 1 second. Screw it. We might as well kick. I think we have a better chance here than with a Hail Mary. Hopkins from 64. It is no good. It's short. And that will wrap up the first half here in Cleveland. Were you expecting a blowout between the NFL's top team and the NFL's worst team? Well, you thought wrong. 17-16. Our offense, granted they've slowed down, But they have played a really good game in the first half. As we take a look at our halftime report, we will start in Minnesota. The Vikings, the only team to beat the Ravens this year against the Bears. And, well, apparently we are not going to get highlights from this game because Madden does not want to show it for some reason. Great job, EA. For those of you who still want your fix of highlights, don't worry. We'll still get them with the weekly recap, which actually worked, unlike the halftime report. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with what I've seen so far. Joe Flacco has been phenomenal. 13 of 22. He has some misses in the second quarter, but he's made some really impressive throws. Lamar, 8 of 14, 123 yards. Both quarterbacks with 2 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy leads the charge for the Browns through the air with 77 yards, including the 50-yard score as the Ravens up by 1. Start with it in the second half. Henry breaks the tackle and loses around 5. Greg Newsome, the second, brings him down, and that'll make it a 3rd and 6. Ever since we signed Newsome to the extension, he's been elite in run defense, which shows that we made a good move. Lamar scrambles for the first down. It's a gain of 13. That'll keep the chains moving for Baltimore to the 44. Now at the opposing 46. Delayed handoff for Henry with room to the right side. Henry with a first down, and he is decked by Jenkins. Man, these linebackers are bad. I mean, there's nobody near him. I miss Carson Schlesinger and Jerome Baker a lot right now. 3rd and 1 at the 13. Lamar scrambles. Look at all that space. Lamar, lights, camera, action, Jackson in for a score. And the Ravens are up by 8. You could have considered going for 2 there, but they're going to take the 1 up 24-16. Browns have it back. Got to respond. Only 3 points since the start of the second quarter. The Ravens using half the clock on that drive. Flacco is a wide open man. It's Njoku. Dives down, gets up, and is then tackled. But he does get the first down. Cleveland's been really effective on 3rd down today. Ford up the middle. Oh my goodness, he broke his ankles! What a run by Jerome Ford to the 46-yard line. I thought he was going to lose yards, but instead he got almost 20. Following play action for Judkins. Flacco goes short. It's Jabari Thrash, another first down. He's eventually tackled at the 35-yard line by Bilal Cohn, the rookie from Western Michigan. 3rd and 2, under 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Flacco and empty, all by himself in the backfield, looking to throw it under pressure. Looking for Njoku, comes down with it at the 14. Kyle Hamilton was draped over him like a blanket, and it didn't matter. Njoku still comes down with it. 1st and goal at the 2. Browns looking to potentially tie it up. A touchdown and 2-pointer away from doing so. Flacco hands it off. The rookie, Quinshon Judkins, is in for a touchdown. 24-22. You know, I wish we could take back that blocked extra point right now. That'd be really helpful. Still, a very good drive here for the Browns offense. Picking up where they left off from the first quarter after a quiet second quarter. Cleveland will go for 2 here, looking to tie the game. Flacco under pressure, high points, it's caught! David Njoku, we're knotted up at 24. Both teams only had the ball once in the 3rd quarter. Ravens marched down the field, used half the clock, scored a touchdown. Cleveland marched right down the field, used half the clock, scored a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion to tie it at 24 going into the 4th. The Browns have Baltimore on the ropes. We'll see if the Ravens can hang on or if the Browns can shock the world. 2nd and 3 at the 42-yard line. Lamar hands it off. Henry gets a block. Henry with a first down. He's tackled at the 33 by Denzel Ward. And the Ravens are moving it pretty nicely so far on this drive. Our defense continues to have a very lackluster afternoon. They were definitely better in the Week 2 matchup against Baltimore compared to today. Lamar with 2 rushing touchdowns. Gets a block. Lamar Jackson to the 5. Another big first down as Mason Graham is hurt. We already lost our 1-star defensive rookie. The last thing we need is to be without the other. 1st and goal, under 8 minutes to play. Derrick Henry thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Couple defenders were there, including Malik Collins. 2nd and goal at the 6. Lamar in the zone. Throws it up. Rashad Bateman in for a touchdown. And the Ravens are back ahead 31-24. Really efficient, very solid drive there by Baltimore. And now we'll see if Cleveland can respond. 6:32 to play. 3rd and 3. Flacco looking for Njoku. That was not the throw. He had a guy wide open towards the middle of the field. And the Ravens get it back. 3rd and 1. QB sneak. They don't get it. As Graham is hurt again. That was Shelby Harris who got the stop. Ravens decide to punt it, and the Browns get it back with another chance to tie the game. 4:40 to go. Ford loses a yard. Roquan Smith flies into the backfield like a missile. 2nd and 11 at the 34. Flacco looks to throw it up the middle. Jahan Dotson, his first catch as a Brown. He hasn't really played a whole lot, still getting accustomed to the playbook, but we're going to continue to give him more and more reps, and I'm hoping he can give us an impact. On the 46, catch number 2 as a Brown for Dotson as he gets it to the 40. Okay, seems like Flacco and Jahan Dotson have a nice little thing going as Cleveland is moving it nicely. Here's Dylan Sampson with a good block from Fannin. Sampson trying to break the tackle. He cannot, but he gains 14 yards with some words for the safety Ardarius Washington. That'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. The Browns down by 7, but we've got the ball in the red zone, firmly in 4-down territory. 3rd and 1, short pass is caught. Judy inside the 10, lassoed out of bounds by Nate Wiggins. That'll stop the clock. Not that we're really competing with the clock. We have it at the 5-yard line. Judkins on 2nd and goal, loses 2. Kyle Van Noy with the tackle. 3rd and goal at the 6. The Ravens have to use an injury timeout again, stopping the clock. Flacco looks to throw it, looking short. Judy, he's close! Trying to reach over the pylon. He got it at the 1. Jack Conklin, torn labrum. We really have gotten handled by the injury bug today. 4th and goal at the 1 and a goal line set. Flacco, touchdown! Joe Flacco on the QB sneak. Folks, we're getting wacko for Flacco. 31-31. What an afternoon so far for Joe Flacco. And I say so far because who knows, we might need another big drive. The Ravens have 58 seconds left and 2 timeouts for Lamar Jackson and friends. They'll start with a run, and Henry loses 3. From there, the Ravens decided to choose some clock, playing for overtime, but on 3rd down, it's Isaiah Likely to the 47, and that changes some things now as the Ravens use their 2nd timeout with 25 seconds left. On 1st down, play action. Lamar looks to throw it. He'll dump it off short. Pat Ricard gets around 9 or 10, and they're going to have to use their last timeout, throwing it right in the middle of the field. Not a great decision there by Lamar Jackson. They're not in field goal range yet, but they're not that far off. On 2nd down, Lamar goes short. Henry with it, gets the 1st. They've got to hurry up, though. They're in field goal range, but are they going to have enough time to kick the field goal? As they get back to the line, they've got to clock it. Lamar under center, spikes it with 5 seconds left. More than enough time for the kicker, Tyler Loop. The rookie from Arizona, from 48 yards to potentially win the game as Coach Puma Whitlock uses a timeout. The Browns have stayed toe-to-toe with the Ravens all afternoon, but Baltimore can clinch it right here. They'd feel a little more confident if it was prime Justin Tucker, but instead it's the rookie Loop from 48 yards. He got it without question. Right down the middle, and that will do it. The Baltimore Ravens come into Cleveland and survive. 34-31, avoiding the upset and improving to a record of 9-1, while the Browns, who stayed in it until the final seconds of the game, fall to a record of 2-8. I don't want this team to be about moral victories. The fact of the matter is we lost the game. But looking at the bigger picture, it's hard not to come away pretty impressed. 388 yards to 386. I thought our offense had probably their best game of the year. We were getting the vertical passing game going, getting some good plays after the catch, and very effective on the ground. Flacco, 23 of 34, 284 and 2 scores. Lamar, 19 of 26, 172 and 2 scores on the ground. Lamar added 100 yards and 2 touchdowns as a runner. Henry had 119. So to answer the question, no, the run defense was not good. Judkins at 10 carries for 50 yards and a score, continuing to take the RB1 spot from Ford. Jerry Jeudy with over 100 yards likely led the way for Baltimore with 65. Thrash had 67, including the incredible touchdown. Defensively, not a lot to be happy about. We didn't send much pressure. Delpit and Garrett with early sacks. No turnovers. The run defense was bad. The coverage was not great. And we lost multiple starters. Jack Conklin, torn labrum. Carson Schlesinger, torn pec. He'll be out for the year. We're going to have to put him on IR. There's a slim chance that he could miss the start of next year because he's probably going to be out for most of the offseason. He's probably going to miss part of training camp. So not only is he out for the year, but this hinders next season for him as well. I don't know why DeJuan Jones is the guy taking questions in the press conference, but we'll go with it. I know we executed the plan our coaches put forward, but he feels like he let his teammates down and could have won the game. That was a perfect answer. Good job, DeJuan Jones. We're going to take responsibility. Obviously, as the coach, we've got to get these guys right. The offense absolutely did what they could. They had their best game of the year. Let's take a look at our weekly recap. We will start in Cleveland. David versus Goliath. Well, Goliath ended up winning, but David put up a darn good fight. 34-31 with a game-winning field goal as time expired by Tyler Loop. Leads the Ravens to the win at 9-1. Even though Baltimore is the best record in the league and the best roster in the league, I'm still not sold on them. A lot of their wins have been really close, this week included. The Chargers head to Duval to face off against the 7-2 Jaguars. For the sake of our draft pick, bolt up, go Chargers. Luckily, Justin Herbert and friends ended up doing us a solid. This impressive run by Najee Harris propels the Chargers to the win 28-21. They are now 8-3, looking like certainly the best team in the AFC West. Jacksonville falls to 7-3. We talked about it in the last episode. By far, the biggest story in the NFL this year has been the New York Giants and the emergence of their new franchise quarterback, Jackson Dart. Well, the hype train is going to slow down just a little bit. The Packers win it in New York, 29-21. Jackson Dart, though, 24 of 29, 233 and 3 scores. Another phenomenal performance for the rookie from Ole Miss, who is quickly turning into a superstar. Let's take a look at some scores across the rest of the NFL. We already got the good news that Jacksonville lost, which helps out our draft pick, although with them at 7-3, that pick being good is kind of a lost cause. As for your players of the week, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, yeah, he scored 4 touchdowns. Hard to argue it. Chris Barnes and Oren Burks. That sets us up for likely a doubleheader in the next episode in Las Vegas against the 4-6 Raiders and at home against the 3-7 49ers, who have been one of the most disappointing teams in the NFL this season. That'll wrap up the episode. Let me know what you thought of the exciting matchup against the Ravens, along with the prospect profile down below in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.